So let me have Gwen walk through the remaining 4 barriers, and we will continue onward.
Thanks, Steve, for going through the first 2 and setting us up. I will walk through the remaining 4 and close out. So the third barrier is selection. And I think we're all familiar. This is something that I think we all deal with on our daily lives. We like to have choice. Choice is considered to be a really good thing. But we don't necessarily have choice as much as we would like when it comes to environmentally friendly products and services. And in fact, 90% of Americans say they would like the stores in which they shop to carry more environmentally friendly products. And if those stores carry more products, lo and behold, we would be more likely to buy them. About 60% of the general population states that, and 86% of LOHAS consumers. So there's clearly market out there that our current product selection is not able to address. And one of the reasons we know that there is latent demand in the marketplace is by looking at specific categories. So this is data that we have through our relationship with the Nielsen Corporation. We have overlaid our LOHAS segmentation model onto their home scan, Spectra, and Bases databases. And so we can now tell on a SKU by SKU basis what LOHAS consumers in each of the other segments are buying. And so we looked within paper towels, just as an example, and looked at dollar spending on different brands. And what's reported here are index values. And if you're not familiar with index values, a value of 100 means it is exactly even to the general population. And so in this case, where there are numbers close to 100, LOHAS consumers aren't spending any more or less on that brand than the average consumer is. And in fact, all of these values are very close to 100. So LOHAS consumers aren't under-indexing on these brands. They aren't buying alternatives because for whatever reason, the alternative products aren't available, they don't work as well as the consumer would like them to, they're too expensive, or all of these other things that we're in fact talking about. The other way we know that there's a need for more selection in the marketplace is through Bases. And for those of you not familiar with Bases, it's generally the most commonly used and widely respected tool for measuring market potential for a new product concept. And what's on this slide is consumer interest in buying green products on the y-axis and then perceived availability on the x-axis. And the categories, it might be a little bit hard to read because of the glare, but up in the upper right are categories that have high interest and high availability. And they're things where we've seen a lot of innovation in the last couple of years. Cleaning products, light bulbs, produce. And what's circled in the middle are the categories where there should be the next round of innovation that we really are, that's on the cusp of what will be coming next. It's a lot of food products, refrigerated foods, shelf-stable foods, frozen foods, but also pet products and personal care products. There's high interest in and not as much availability. So those are areas that we need to innovate in. And the result, as we see it in the marketplace, is that there's this great big, huge consumer area for needs and wants that is out there, but a relatively small area of existing product choices from which consumers can choose. And so there's a tremendous amount of white space. And the question now is who is going to own that white space? Who are going to be the disruptive brands and products out there? Obviously, there are a lot of different ways that a company can approach this from a branding perspective. Building a brand is one option Frito-Lay has pursued with its True North brand. It's not necessarily, it appeals to LOHAS consumers because of the aspirational messaging that it uses. Also, the ingredients that are in the product are very simple. There are no artificial ingredients and preservatives, and that's why it works with LOHAS consumers. Certainly, you can buy a brand. A lot of companies in this room have done that or will likely do that. The Body Shop is just one example. You can reposition a brand. This is a little bit more challenging. It depends a lot on the equity in the brand and in the corporation and where consumers are, but Brita seems to be doing a good job of that. And then finally, a brand extension, which again is a function of the equity within the current brand and where it can go, but Huggies is working on that with its Pure and Natural line. So the point of this page is that there's no one way to provide additional selection to the consumer. These are all viable options and work in different cases, and you really need to consider your corporate and brand strengths. Obstacle number 4, no sacrifice. Americans, up until recently, were not generally very good or hadn't been in a generation at sacrifice. This is also true for environmentally friendly products. And we see this very clearly in our data, that people do not want to sacrifice quality, convenience, or price when purchasing environmentally friendly products. And it's only really been within the last couple of years that there have been products out there that allow consumers to do that. You see 60% of the general population doesn't want to sacrifice, and that in fact grew by 53% just in 1 year. We almost never see growth rates that are that high from 1 year to the next. So as there are more products out there, consumers have more alternatives and are less willing to sacrifice to get the environmentally friendly benefit. Notably, LOHAS consumers are more willing to sacrifice, but still half do not want to sacrifice. We see this very specifically within the personal care category. Within our database, we measure a couple of dozen reasons that consumers might purchase environmentally friendly, would purchase personal care products. And if you look just at the LOHAS consumer, the primary reason that LOHAS consumers purchase personal care products is because they're effective. And in some ways, I feel like that's a big duh. Like, of course, you want a product that works. But I think until recently, that was kind of set aside, and it's clear that LOHAS consumers are really looking for effective products. Secondly, they're looking for products that provide good value. It's a distant second, but it's very much there. And only once you satisfy those first two reasons to buy personal care products do you get to LOHAS-related benefits. Recyclable packaging, not tested on animals, earth-friendly, biodegradable. So if you are a brand that offers those benefits to consumers, that's great. It's great for LOHAS consumers, but you have to deliver on efficacy and value to get LOHAS consumers interested in your brand.